So there's this little group of islands off the coast of Los Angeles that many people don't even know that they're there, much less know that Channel Islands is a national park. So California has 9 national parks, the most of any state, and Channel Islands is my final park in California. So in early May of 2025, I got to go out to Santa Cruz Island. So there are 5 islands that are the major islands in the national park. There's lots of tiny islands connected and off the coast of each of the islands, but the 5 main islands that are part of the national park. Santa Cruz Island is the largest, and it's also got multiple areas that you can stay in and multiple areas that you can get access to with a ferry. So I spent about a day and a half on Santa Cruz Island. I want to go through all the details of how I got there, what I did, and what it was like to experience the Channel Islands. All right, so there's 5 main islands in the national park. There is Santa Cruz Island, which is the largest, Anacapa Island, Santa Rosa Island, San Miguel Island, and Santa Barbara Island. All right, so out of the 5, the one that is the most visited, the largest, and the most accessible is going to be Santa Cruz Island. There are ways to get to the other islands, but Santa Cruz Island is the most developed. So back in the early 1900s, and for many years before that, there was a lot of ranching that happened out on Santa Cruz Island. And so there's a lot of development that was done in the infrastructure of Santa Cruz Island back in the ranching days. And so Scorpion Cove it still houses some of the ranching things and has some of the historical ranching houses and different equipment that they use and stuff like that is still there. Though it's not in use anymore, it's still there to kind of look back at some of the ranching things that happened while it was used for that purpose. But Scorpion Cove is a great, easy spot to get to for the ferry drop-off, and it also has a campground. It has water access. It's one of the only places on the island, if not the only place, that has water that you can get there. Everywhere else you have to bring your own water. So Scorpion Cove, I picked it for multiple reasons, but that was the primary reason. The campground accessibility, the fact that I didn't have to hike in with my gear. If you go to Prisoner's Cove, you have to hike in a few miles to the campground. And so Scorpion Canyon was right there, accessible, easy to carry my camping gear in and then hike around day hikes from that general area. Everything is miles off the California coast. So right there on the harbor in Ventura is the main park headquarters visitor center area. So you can go there to get your stamp, your park information, your maps, all the details. But the only way to get out to the islands is by boat or by like a seaplane. And most people go on the ferry that is operated through the national park system. It's called Island Packers. And so Island Packers office and main boarding area and everything is right there on the harbor, just a few doors down from the visitor center. And so what you have to do is you have to book your ferry ride. They have day trips that they'll take you out to the island and back. They also have scenic, like wildlife viewing trips, where you can go out and see whales or see birds or different things like that out on the island where you never actually set foot on the islands. They have trips to some of the different islands from there, but you also can do the day trips from there. So the prices and information vary depending on the specifics of the trip you're taking, whether it's a wildlife viewing trip, whether it's a day trip out to the island, which island you go to, and then also if you're camping or not. So there's kind of multiple things that you have to do to reserve a campsite. The first thing you have to do is get on recreation.gov and reserve a campsite in the place that you plan to stay. Mine was Scorpion Canyon. So in January, I decided I was going to be able to make this trip happen. And so I got on recreation.gov, booked the campsite for one night, and then immediately went to Island Packers website through the National Park Service. The links and everything are there. Went to the Island Packers website and booked my ferry trip across on the boat going to Santa Cruz Island to Scorpion Canyon. So I booked a one-way on Wednesday, and I booked another one-way on Thursday. So you book the campsite, which is $40 a night on recreation.gov, and then you go to Island Packers and you book the ferry tickets depending on how many nights you're staying out on the island. So it's $46 one way on the ferry out and the ferry back. So it's like $93 total plus the $40 for the campsite. I just did one night, and so in total that was $133 for the total experience out there on the island. So we left the harbor at Island Packers around 9 a.m. Took about an hour and a half to get out to the island by the time we got docked and everything like that. It was incredibly foggy the day we went. Like, we couldn't see. It was hard to see the island until you were right up on it. It was super foggy. And they talk about the research I had done says that you see a lot of wildlife on the boat ride out and the boat ride back. Well, we saw nothing but birds. No marine animals at all on the whole trip out. And I'd seen reports where they had seen thousands of dolphins and whales and all this kind of stuff in the few days prior. But yeah, we saw nothing on our ride out. So it was pretty, but it was just a foggy ride out, cold, foggy ride out to the island. I took in a duffel bag with my tent, my sleeping bag, my camping pad, my pillow, and a few extra clothes and things like that, and my food. That was all in my duffel bag. And then my backpack had my camera gear and all that kind of stuff in it. I left a lot of my stuff in the car. So you have parking at Island Packers. They offer parking. It doesn't cost. It's included in your booking, but you can park there. They have a long-term parking lot for people who are staying out overnight on the island. And so I left a lot of my bigger bags and stuff like that in the car, locked up and everything, but took my camera bag, my backpack, and a few other things, and then my duffel bag with my camping gear in it. So we got out there around 10:30 or 11, something like that. It was only a few hundred yards walk up from the pier to the campground. Now, there is a lower and upper loop. I stayed in the lower loop primarily because it was right there, closer to the pier and everything. So one of the things about the Channel Islands is it's so different. There are some similarities, but there's a lot of differences from the rest of the California coast. There are animals and plants that live on the national park in the Channel Islands that don't live anywhere else. I think it reminded me the most, probably visually, the landscape on Santa Cruz Island, the part that I was on. It reminded me most of the area up like around Point Reyes, north of San Francisco, up in that area. But we're way down in Southern California. It looked a lot different than like the coastal area of Ventura and LA and everything like that. And it's not that far away. It's just right there off the coast. But yet it's so different being so close. So the animals, specifically some of the animals that live there, there's a blue jay that lives there. There's some other birds and things like that, but the most well-known for living there is the island fox, the Channel Island fox. There's these tiny little foxes. I've seen foxes all over the world in different places, and so I'd seen pictures, but nothing to give me some scale. And so I saw the fox, the first one I saw, it was like a cat. It was like the size of a house cat. It was tiny, but they were like scrounging around at the campsites and stuff, looking for crumbs or whatever people had dropped. When you get there, you're like, oh, there's a fox. I've got to see this fox because I'm going to have to see any more. And by the time I was there for a day and a half, and not to dismiss, but like at one point when I was getting ready to leave, it's like, oh, there's another fox. Okay, cool. Seen foxes the entire time I've been here. So just know when you get there that you're likely going to see foxes the entire time that you're there. They're beautiful. They're cool. I had the coolest experience with one. I was up at one of the overlooks one night, kind of waiting on sunset. But I was laying on the bench out there, just right on the edge of the ocean on the cliff, and I heard something, and there was a fox like right next to me. And so I jumped up, got my camera, and he ran off. But then he came back, and he was like jumping around and playing, and he's actually playing with some sticks and running back and forth and stuff like that. And so I just got to walk around as he played around right there on the edge of the cliff, overlooking the ocean for I felt like 45 minutes, and nobody else came up. It was really cool to see the wildlife, to see the fox just kind of playing. That it was a really cool time and a really cool experience to see the island fox in that way. So once you land in Scorpion Canyon, you're down obviously in the canyon, the low area, and there's hills on either side that go around, and they're beautiful overlooks on either side. So if you take the trail up to the right from the pier, you go up to Cavern Point, which is a beautiful little overlook looking, you can see in all directions. It's really high up above the canyon. And then you can continue on down that trail for another mile or so to Potato Harbor. And so Potato Harbor was really cool. I walked out there and spent a few hours just exploring that area. There was tons of wildflowers everywhere. I was there the 1st of May. There was purple and yellow and orange and white and other colored wildflowers just growing all over the hills of the island. I got there, set up my campsite a little afternoon, and then decided to go up to Cavern Point and then Potato Harbor. So that was the afternoon of the Wednesday that I was there. I went, took my time, I had plenty of time to do everything that was there in that area. I walked up to Cavern Point, spent a little time there, walked on out to Potato Harbor. Not a lot of people out there, and met a few people on the trail here and there, but took the couple-mile trail out Potato Harbor. Spent an hour or so out there just relaxing, taking in the views, checking out some different areas, taking some photos and things like that. And then came back. You walk through some fields, you walk through some rocky cliffside areas that are hundreds of feet drop down to the side, down to the water. You could hear some sea lions in the distance. I couldn't see them. I think they were down, kind of tucked away under at Potato Harbor under the edge of the cliff. I wasn't able to see them. There's no beach access there, so you can't get down to the water at Potato Harbor, but you can. It's got a great overlook there. So I got up the next morning after a great night's sleep, made some breakfast, just hung out around there in the area, went out to the shore, walked around out there on the coast as the tide was down, but then decided to do the Scorpion Canyon hike. So based on my map, I thought that I was better off going into the canyon first and then up on top and back down. Come to find out, the better way to do it is the other way. So go clockwise. I went counterclockwise. Go clockwise because the incline is a lot steeper if you go the way that I went. So it goes real steep, real fast, and then you're up on top. So if you go clockwise, it's just a much more gradual climb. So that was about a 4-mile hike, just an easy stroll through the different elements of the island. You had some of the fields up on top, and then some of the cliff areas down near the water. And it was just a really beautiful hike. I mean, just an easy, beautiful spot to go and just explore. Came back down afternoon. There's not a whole lot to do. So if you're staying in that area, there's some long hikes that you can take. But I didn't have enough time really to do the super long stuff. And there wasn't anything in particular that I wanted to hike to see in those long distance hikes. But overall, it's not that big of an area to explore. There's quite a few things there, but I think that the time that I had there was great. I think if you're going to go out to Santa Cruz Island with friends and you got other people out there that you can spend some more time in some different areas, then that would be fine, but I don't think you need that much time in that one little area. You could do it in a day trip, but I don't think you would have enough time. So I think it's kind of a balance of too much time versus not enough time. I feel like the day trip, you might be able to hike out to Potato Harbor and back, but you still then would be pushing it. So there's many parks that you really need multiple days. Glacier, Yosemite, Yellowstone, Olympic. Many parks that you need multiple days to see all of the things that there are to see in those parks. And I didn't see all of the things that are in Channel Islands. You need multiple days to see all the stuff in Channel Islands. But I think they're great opportunities to see parks on trips that are already happening or places you're already going to be, and just extend your time there to take advantage of the parks that are in the area and see the beautiful places that are provided by the national parks. In the spring of 2025, there are 63 national parks. I have seen 52 of them. So I've got actually 3 more on the books to go see later this year, 1 in June and 2 in August. And so I'm excited about those. I'm excited about the ones I've seen. I want to share my journey as I go and see the rest of the parks. I'm also going to try to go back and share some videos about some of the parks that I've been to already in the past. These are some of my favorite places, and seeing the beauty that is right here in the U.S. is so much variety and so many different things that you can see as you explore the national parks. I'm excited about seeing the rest of them, and I'm so blessed to have been able to see all the ones that I've already been able to see and experience so much of the beauty that's right here at home in the United States.